AskReddit by Impossible Dream 5141. People always talk about dead-end jobs, but what are some dead-end lifestyles? Loving people who don't love you back. Goes for friendships as well. Living to work. I used to fall into a tunnel vision where I hyper-focused on the job and woke up to realize I've been neglecting myself and my relationships. Now, I'm finding the balance of working to live, and also making time to enjoy life with my family and friends. The best things I did in the last months of 2023 were create boundaries with my work and some friends. And then I quit my job. I'm terrified, but I have a good resume experience, and if I stayed it would have made things get worse than they did. I don't regret it beyond being nervous about money, but it'll be okay. Conspicuous consumption just to keep up with others. There's always going to be someone with more. Recovering shopping addict with ADHD here. It only took me going through insolvency light and quitting my full-time job at the mall to realize that I was spending just to cope with bad feelings. Every day I have to constantly fight the urge to spend money. I really want to dispel the stigma around this. Addiction. Edit. To anything. Doesn't have to be substance. This. A heavy TV watching addict here. Smartphone and porn addict as well. I've spent so much time doing nothing. Alcohol. It's expensive. Your sleep suffers. Your relationship suffers. Your work suffers. Then your health suffers. It's a silent killer too. I didn't realize I was an addict until 8 years in. I quit recently and am currently on the longest streak I've gone without drinking since I was 21, 19 years ago. It's only been like 3 weeks, but the anxiety is finally starting to subside, and I just realized the other day that I had likely become addicted. Hatching TV shows and movies. You just watch something you know you already will hate, because you're too used to your routine to break out and do something different. You're already wasting emotional energy, why waste your time too? Being a martyr at your job. How's that joke about the factory worker go? Something like, a factory worker was in line to get into the plant as his shift was about to start, when the company president pulled up in a new luxury car. As the president was walking past, the worker remarked on what a nice car it was. The president stopped and replied, "Thanks, it really is a great car." Then he looked the worker square in the eye and said to him, "And you know, if you work hard, pull extra shifts, and really apply yourself, then next year I'll be able to buy an even nicer one." Endless partying. Party till it hurts. Some late 30s shirtless guy who passed out at my birthday party in 1998. He was 10-15 years older than everyone else at the party, and no one seemed to know who he was or who had invited him. Dude slept on the couch, woke up the next morning and immediately started hitting the vodka. "Hey, can I buy this half-empty bottle from you? I don't have any cash on me, but I'll bring some by later today." I swear, he didn't, but that was honestly fine with me. Now and then I wonder what became of 1998 shirtless party guy. Declining to work out regularly. Stay active. Old age comes at you fast, as does body breakdown. This is something I have such a hard time on. They say exercise stimulates serotonin production, but by God I hate every single second of it. I need to trick my shitty brain to like exercise somehow. Doing nothing after coming back from your job. Laying on bed all day. Sleeping and going back to your job because that's the only thing you love doing. Haha, this is me. You can fall into a similar trap with a job you hate. You can get stuck in a job that's so toxic that you dread getting out of bed to go to the job, and are then so drained by the end of the workday that you don't want to do anything else but lay in bed. People who have too many kids they can't take care of. I firmly that if you can't feed them, you shouldn't breed them. You'd be surprised at how many people don't share that opinion. putting all your time and effort into becoming a famous internet personality. Unless you are one of the very few to make enough money to support yourself for the rest of your life, then you will waste years that could be better spent learning an actual skill. Even if you do get famous and find a way to monetize it, I don't see many people being able to make a long-term career out of it. Your 15 minutes won't last that long. TikTok will throw your first couple videos into the heart of the discovery algorithm and you'll get some inflated numbers. I've seen so many grown-ass adults think they are instantly TikTok famous as a result. Then they become unbearable to be around. Enabling codependency seems to be a lifestyle for a lot of people and it's incredibly destructive. I know both genders get this, but I also am very drained from seeing many women sacrifice careers, education, benefits for a love interest. Abandoning your learning is asking for codependency, even if mentally you aren't in a bad spot. I get that motherhood is a big reason they do it, but some women can't leave marriage if it eventually insinuates divorce because they don't have a stable independent background. Scrolling this thread checking for your own lifestyle. Scrolling this thread checking for something that is actually a lifestyle. Having children before you are ready, both financially and emotionally. Construct the foundation before you start building the house. You can't really go back and do that later. It's so hard to know when you are ready. I kinda feel like you can't. I have 2 under to that were planned. We are doing good, but I don't think I knew what being ready was fully until boom, you are in the thick of it. I think you need to be ready to work harder on your relationship, your home, and time management as well as your financial stability. The gambler's lifestyle. Being a chronic stoner was a very painful realization to come to when I had to face the idea that my addiction to weed was actually making my life worse and not better. I went to a school very famous for its weed and stoner culture, and there was a lot of dismissiveness about smoking. It's not addictive, said every stoner. I always was of the mind that you could get hooked to anything, including food. Then in 2018 I lived with someone whom I believed was a true weed addict. This dude spent virtually 24/7 in his room hitting up a bong. It was unbelievable. I didn't even know how he paid for rent. Turns out, this dude had been studying nursing but took a semester off to get his finances in check. I would have never in my life known him to be doing something productive because he seemed so enslaved by his habit. Consuming media being your only hobbies. Unless you find someone with similar interests, no one is gonna care that you have deep opinions on every movie you could possibly name. Turning into the old guy at the end of the bar. Every dive has one. I'm in this picture and I don't like it. Untreated borderline. That's such a great way to be miserable and isolated and end up killing yourself, whether directly or through substance abuse and thrill seeking. It's surreal. If you got borderline, go get therapy, go read books that don't blame you for what you're burdened with. The Borderline Personality, Vision and Healing is a must-read demo, and decide to learn how to be content rather than needing to look for a way to be happy. Happiness fades incredibly quickly, and you'll always be looking for the next fix to feel alive. Learn to be content, accept the hurt, and I can promise you, you'll feel a whole lot better than you ever imagined you could. And get some DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy. Making a gig job your full-time career is extremely short-sighted. There's a shitload of online English as a second language teachers that have had to learn that lesson the hard way after China forbade online ESL companies from employing foreign teachers to teach Chinese children ESL in 2021. A multi-billion-dollar industry with a massive demand just gone. I did it for 4 years, best little gig ever, but I never used it as full-time income, even though it was good money. I'm not allowing my living to depend on something that can change at the whims of a foreign government. LMAO. Stay at home. Title. The job eventually gets old and getting an on-home job with that bigger gap is hard. A lot of people don't want to admit this, but it's true. You can be extremely active and fulfilled, and contribute to your community, but it can also be pulled out from under you with no warning, even if you did everything right. People need identities outside of their marriage and children. Putting the least amount of effort into life as possible to get by. You get out what you put in. If you consistently do the least you can to survive, it's going to catch up in a negative way. I have lived experience with this fact. I'm just so damn depressed. Social media doom scrollers. I have friends whose brains have been fried by the internet and social media. They are constantly triggered about something that has zero effect on their lives. I worked a retail job for 8 years. Just your standard 40 hours 6 days a week that most people stuck in retail do. Smoked weed on my breaks. Got home and immediately smoked weed. Watched TV, played video games. Rinse and repeat. Wasted 8 years of my life. Now I don't smoke and I repair medical devices for a living and I feel like what I do actually matters.